Hello, I'm Nikki.
And I'm Jess.
She's the traumatized.
And she's the abandoned. And
welcome to our
podcast.
Where we talk about true crime, spooky things, and everything in between.
And today we are doing a deep dive into the Caylee Anthony Case, aka the Caylee Anthony Case.
Mm-hmm. We actually this is our first deep dive on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
I've been wanting to do one for a while, but I haven't had the time to research the ones that I wanted to do.
Yep.
But a new Peacock documentary came out recently with Casey's side of the story, which we'll get into, unfortunately, in part 2. So, yeah.
It's a two-parter!
It's a two-parter, which I kind of hate.
Buckle up.
I kind of hate, like, multiple part podcasts, but
we're doing it.
We're doing it. So
deal with it.
Deal with it.
No, it actually worked out like perfectly because I was gone all week.
Mm-hmm.
So I was gone visiting family for Christmas. So it worked out really well because you just dove deep into this research, and like I think you said like halfway through it, you're like, this is gonna be too much. Why don't we just do a 2-parter? I was like, that's genius.
And then
we could actually catch up again.
Yeah, because if you guys don't know this by now, we record 2 weeks ahead. So with her being gone a full week, we would have been behind again. And then we would have had it done like 2 episodes in 1 week, which is a lot for us.
It is.
It's a lot. We are worn out.
You can tell. Yeah. You can tell when we do that second episode of a 2-parter. I think we've done it like once or twice, and it is just not.
So yeah, like halfway through my research, I'm like, you know what? I can stretch this into 2 episodes if we want to like break in the middle and just have like one big recording session. I can do that. And so like
we can do that.
That's what we're doing. Also, Happy New Year, guys. It's our first episode in the new year. And we're starting off hard and heavy.
Yeah, it is. Hard and heavy. New year, not new us. You're welcome. I think. But yeah, how was your Christmas?
It was good. Honestly, we did nothing. I literally, because like...
Sounds so good.
My entire plan for Christmas Eve was to sit on the couch and watch Christmas movies. And my husband joined me. So I think that's going to be like our new tradition. This year,
I fucking love that.
We watched Home Alone 1 through 3. And then we watched The Santa Claus 1 through 3.
Oh my God.
So yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so we just enjoyed our time.
Oh my God, I love that. Oh, that's such a good tradition too. I love when like things like traditions just like happen and they're like, yeah, we should do this.
Anyways, how was your Christmas?
Busy. It was so busy. Lots and lots of family. Like, I spent 2 days with one set of grandparents, Christmas Day with my mom, 2 days with another set of grandparents, 1 day with dad, and they were home. So it was like a boom, 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 boom. Like it was just very busy. And then so many presents. Like I'm so blessed to have people who love me as much as they do. It's hard when we're traveling and I literally, like, thank God I actually got a suitcase for Christmas because it was filled with presents on the way back, which worked out. I felt bad for my brother who flew.
Oh my.
Like they actually had to ship some stuff back, but it was so good. My brothers and I were together for the first time in like 3 years, I think 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
And I saw my littlest brother and I like literally almost started crying. Like, I don't know. It's just crazy to think like how old we're getting, you know, like, and like same thing with like my grandparents. It's hard because I picture them when I'm away. I picture them as I remember them like back in the day, but
yeah,
they're not. They're getting older, and you know it's hard. But I really did cherish like the moments that we had with them. And anyway, the the shitty part of the trip.
Stop.
On Christmas Day, my middle brother was all like, oh my, like halfway through, he kept disappearing like every 30 minutes. We're like, what is wrong with this kid? What is going on? And I overheard him like talking to Mama. He's like, honestly, I can't tell if I have to like throw up or, you know, the other one. I'm cramping really bad. I don't know what's wrong. It's been like this for like a day or two, but it's really bad today. But he was like eating everything. he was eating food. Like, I don't know. So I kind of just thought he was just had a stomach ulcer or something.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday night, I saw him again. We ate pizza. Anyway, I woke up Wednesday night, Thursday morning, and I then have a stomach bug, and we have to drive 8 hours home, stopping every hour. It was miserable.
Yeah.
I think it took us it ended up taking us 11 hours to get home.
Oh my goodness.
And I messaged him because I'm still struggling bad. I can't eat anything. But I messaged him and I was like, dude, what the hell? Did you have a stomach bug? He was like, oh yeah, it lasts 4 to 5 days. And I'm like, what?
Thanks.
I'm on day 4, but I'm like, motherfucker, dude. So weird. I'm sick. I think we should, so as many times as you say I'm confused, I think we should have a counter for how many times I'm sick.
That's so true. Yeah. Fun fact of the day.
So the first fun fact of the day is a little pick at you. Did you guys know that when Nikki types out a bunch of notes and has to include a duct tape in her notes a lot, she actually spells it D-U-C-K tape, like quack quack, like duck tape.
You know, I have never been diagnosed, but the more
you can't blame dyslexia on spelling duck instead of duct. It's duct.
It does. No, I do think the more I notice it, the more I'm aware of it, the more I notice it.
Oh, for sure.
I definitely think I have a small form of dyslexia because I wrote, you guys, so many pages of notes, and I'm sitting there typing them, and I get through 6 pages, and I'm like, did I really write down duct tape instead of duct tape? Yes, I did.
And then she told me, and I was like, why would you tell me this? No, this has to be a fun fact. So you've done this to yourself.
God. Anywho, writing is hard for me.
We love you.
Writing
but
reading.
I do agree. I think that you do honestly have some sort of, because I've seen you write stuff before, and
oh my god, what did I send you?
You did, and then you had to erase it, and I can't remember what it was, but it was something like,
was it sense? Was it the word sense?
It was. Yeah.
So
it was
instead of writing what is it, S-C-I-N, no, it's S-I, how do you spell sense?
Yeah. Well, it depends on which one. I think your S-I-N-C-E is what you're thinking.
Mm-hmm. No,
it's been since
normally I put it where I just tried saying I put it, S-C-I-N-E. That's normally how I do it. Yeah.
Okay.
But this time, all the letters were jumbled and didn't even make a word. And I was like, I have never in my life made this word. What is this word? It's so bad.
I mean, it makes sense because you're dyslexic.
So we're going to be talking about the tragic death of Caylee Anthony. A lot of this case is going to revolve around her mother, Caylee Anthony. We are doing a 2-parter. So in the first part, we're going to talk about the day that Caylee was reported missing, the first 48 hours. We're going to go into the family background, also the days that Caylee was missing, and then we're going to go over the evidence. And then in part 2, we're going to talk about the trial, all of that, the theories, because pretty much everyone has theories on this case, and the new Peacock documentary where Caylee Anthony comes out with a brand new story of what actually happened, quote unquote, actually. So buckle in. Trigger warnings are going to be child abuse and child sexual abuse. So if that's not something you want to you want to hear about that's in this.
So, I can leave?
No, not you. Incorrect.
Okay.
Let's start. July 15th, 2008. George and Cindy Anthony received notice from the impound lot in Orlando, Florida, where they resided. They were notified that the car in Cindy's name, which was usually driven by their daughter Casey, had been an impound since June 30th. George tried to pick up the car, but Cindy had to be there because it was her name on the title for it to be released. And she had to bring about $480 because the impound actually charged for every day that the car sat on the lot.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But once everything was taken care of, the manager walked George over to Casey's Pontiac Sunfire that was parked next to a dumpster. George had a set of keys, so he unlocked the car and opened the door. When he did, a foul smell came out of the car and hit the two men.
Oh, no.
The manager recognized the smell and thought it smelled like a different car he had on his lot at a different point in time of when someone had died in that car and had been left in the car for days.
Ewy.
So the two men headed to the trunk and opened it to find mostly empty, except for a trash bag full of old pizza and maggots.
Ew. Okay.
The men took the bag out of the trunk and threw it in the dumpster that was next to it. And George I think both men were kind of like, I hope that's where the smell was coming from. You know what I mean?
It wasn't, was it?
George, though, had to drive the car home with all of like the windows down because it smelled so bad.
What? Okay.
So after looking through the car, Cindy finds a phone number to someone named Amy, who was one of Casey's friends. She asked Amy where Casey was, and Amy agreed to bring Cindy to Casey. Casey was staying with her boyfriend, Tony Lazaro, at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So Cindy shows up to the apartment and basically drags Casey home. While in the car, Cindy is trying to figure out where Casey's daughter, Caylee, is because it has been over 30 days since Cindy had seen either of them. She didn't get any answers from Casey. So in a tough love kind of way, she called 911. So she's like, if you can imagine with me, they're in the car. She's like, tell me where Caylee is. If you don't tell me where Caylee is, I'm going to call 911. And Casey's not saying anything. So that's what she did. This would be the first of 3 calls that day.
Hello.
Hi, I drove to the police department here on Pershing, but you guys are closed. I need to bring someone into the police department. Can you tell me where the closest one I can come into?
What are you trying to accomplish by bringing them to the station?
I have a 22-year-old person that has grand theft sitting in my auto with me.
So the 22-year-old person stole something?
Yes.
Is this a relative?
Yes.
Where did they steal it from?
My car and also money.
Okay, is this your son?
Daughter.
Okay, so your daughter stole money from your car?
No, my car was stolen. We've retrieved it today. We found out where it was at. I've retrieved it. I've got that, and I've got affidavit for my banking account. I want to bring her in. I want to press charges.
Where did all of this happen?
Oh, it's been happening.
No, but I need to establish a jurisdiction is what I'm trying.
Oh, I live in Orlando.
Yeah, but what address did these thefts occur at?
Well, I guess my residence, I guess.
What's that? Okay.
4937 Hope Spring Drive.
That's actually going to be in the jurisdiction of the sheriff's office, ma'am, not the Orlando Police Department.
All righty.
Let me transfer you over to the communications section for Orange County.
Okay. Now, is the Orlando Sheriff's Department the one on 436, is that open this afternoon, this evening?
The substation you're at on Pershing, if it's Orlando Police, we're open primarily during the day.
Uh-huh.
But that's not the sheriff. That's the city police, which does not have jurisdiction for your
I know there's a sheriff's department on 436.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer you to the sheriff's communications section, and you can determine that. Hold on.
Okay. Because my next thing will be down the child thing, and we'll have a court order together. If that's what you want to play, we'll do it. And you'll never. Well, then you have one day. No, I'm not giving you another day. I've given you a month.
So in that video, that was Cindy.
Yes. That was Cindy.
Okay.
And then at the end, you can hear Casey in the background.
Right. Them talking, like her saying, I didn't give you a day, I gave you a month. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One thing that's said kind of like about this specific phone call is basically it sounds like Cindy was kind of using it as like a punishment for Casey, like tough love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of scared straight sort of thing.
Yep,
like,
yep.
I'm going to call the cops if you don't tell me, you know, what happened.
Mhm.
And it's just kind of a little too late to be trying to punish your daughter that's in her early 20s. Like, that should have been happening before this. Anywho, a couple of hours later, still no officers had shown up. So Cindy called 911 again.
Oh my God.
What's the address of your emergency?
4937 Hope Spring Drive.
4937 Hope Springs
Drive, Ormsted.
Okay, what's happening?
I have someone here that I need to be arrested in my home.
They're there right
I have
now?
a possible missing child. I have a 3-year-old that's been missing for a month.
A 3-year-old?
Yes.
Have you reported that?
I'm trying to do that now, ma'am.
Wow.
Okay, what did the person do that you need arrested?
My daughter.
For what?
For stealing an auto and stealing money. I already spoke with someone. They said they would patch me through the Orlando Sheriff's Department and have a deputy here. I was in the car. I was going to drive her to the police station, and no one's open. They said they would bring a deputy to my home when I got home to call them.
So she stole your vehicle?
Yes.
When did she do that?
On the 30th. I just got it back from the impound. I'd like to speak to an officer. Can you have someone come out to my house?
Okay. Okay, I gotta ask you these questions so I can put them in the call, okay?
Okay.
30th of June?
Yes.
Okay, how old is your daughter?
22.
Okay, what's her name?
My name?
Her name.
Her name, Caylee Anthony. C-A-S-E-Y.
And your name?
Cynthia Anthony.
And you said you have the vehicle back?
Yes. And I have the statement.
Casey's there right now?
Yes, I got her. I finally found her after a month. She's been missing for a month. I found her, but we can't find my granddaughter.
Okay, how tall is Casey?
5'1.5".
Thin, medium, or heavy build?
Then
Color hair?
brown.
What color shirt
It's
is she
crazy. They
wearing?
need all this information.
We got the gist of it. So this is the call where she like reports Caylee missing.
Right.
But yeah, so in this call, she states the same thing. She wants her daughter arrested. But this time she brings up the fact that her granddaughter may be missing at this point. Okay, so the reason why we have pretty much all this information is, and all these recordings, is because Florida has like this sunshine law or something. And it's basically a law that lets the media have access to everything. Literally everything. So later on, we'll see a jailhouse call from the first night that Casey was arrested.
Damn.
So like all this information, the 911 calls, everything was coming out as the case was progressing.
Wow.
Because of that law. Also, this is around the time where Lee, Casey's brother, was called over to the house to try and get Casey to talk to him and explain like what's going on. And Casey confesses to her brother.
Confesses?
911, what's your emergency?
I called a little bit ago, the deputy sheriff's son, I found out my granddaughter has been taken. She has been missing for a month. Her mother finally admitted that she's been missing.
Okay, what is
here now?
Okay, what is the address that you're calling from?
4937 Hope Spring Drive. We're talking about a 3-year-old little girl.
4937 what?
Hope Spring, HOPESPRING Drive, Orlando.
Oh my
daughter
God.
finally admitted that the baby's in the store. I need to find her.
Your daughter admitted that the baby is where?
But the babysitter took her a month ago that my daughter's been looking for. I told you my daughter was missing for a month. I just found her today, but I can't find my granddaughter. And she just admitted to me that she's been trying to find her herself. There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car.
Okay, what is the 3-year-old's name?
Caylee, Caylee Anthony.
Caylee Anthony?
Yes.
Okay, is she white, black, or Hispanic?
She's white.
How long has she been missing for?
I have not seen her since the 7th of June.
What is her date of birth?
8/9/2000. Oh God, she's 3. She's 2005. George Kaylee's missing. Kaylee's missing. Casey says Danny took her a month ago. She's been missing for a month.
Oh, that was hard.
So yeah, one thing that is said about pretty much all of these 911 calls is that almost every single operator is kind of like having the reaction of like, what the fuck is actually happening?
Right.
Because like
Right.
in the first call, he's like, wait, the person who stole your car is in the car with you and you have the car? Like,
Right. Like, why are you calling us, kind of thing.
so in this last call, she is like, the daughter is missing, what have you.
Yeah.
And also she makes a comment that smells like there's been a dead body in the car.
She said that. And I was like, oh no.
And she says that she said that just to get the cops there faster. But the dead body smell would be accounted by so many people. So George made a comment on it. The impound guy made a comment on it. Obviously Cindy in the phone call. And even her brother Lee, when he walked into the house, he had to walk through the garage by the car and he noted that it smelled extremely bad just walking by it. So also in this 911 call, the operator asked to speak to Casey.
Okay, I understand. Can you calm down for me for just a minute? And I need to know what's going on, okay? I'm gonna try and talk. Is your daughter there?
I'm on the phone with them.
Is your daughter there?
Yes.
Can I speak with her? Do you mind if I speak with her? Thank you.
I called them 2 hours ago. They haven't gotten here. She finally admitted to Danny took her a month ago. It's just trying to find her.
Ma'am.
Okay, Danny's here. They want to talk to you.
Ugh.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Hi. Well, can you tell me what's going on a little bit?
So weird.
I'm sorry?
Can you tell me a little bit what's going on?
My daughter's been missing for the last 31 days.
And you know who has her?
I know who has her. I tried to contact her. I actually received a phone call today, now from a number that is no longer in service. I did get to speak to my daughter for about a minute.
Okay, did you guys call and report a vehicle stolen?
Yes, my mom did.
Okay, so there's been a vehicle stolen too?
No, this was my vehicle.
What vehicle was stolen?
It's a 98 Pontiac Sunfire.
Okay, I have deputies on the way to you right now for that. But now your 3-year-old, okay, your 3-year-old daughter's missing. Caylee Anthony.
Yes.
White female.
Anthony. Yes, white female.
3 years old. 8/9/2005 is her date of birth.
Yes.
And you last saw her a month ago?
31 days. From 31 days.
Who has her? Do you have
But
a
how?
name?
Her name is Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez.
Who is that? Babysitter?
She's been my nanny for about a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Why are you calling now? Why didn't you call 31 days ago?
I've been looking for her and have gone through other resources
That's what I'm saying.
to try to find her, which was
What?
stupid. Okay.
Can you give me
What?
the name of the nanny again? Like spell it out for me.
What?
Zenaida, Zenaida,
Last name?
Fernandez, Gonzalez. I think the officers are here.
The officers are there?
Yes.
Okay, hold on a second. Don't hang up with me yet. I need you. Okay.
You can speak now.
I have nothing. So that's how it ended.
Because the officers had
The
arrived.
officers there.
Mhm.
Okay.
As you can hear, the 911 operator asks pretty much what everyone's asking.
What? 30? Oh,
Why didn't you
What?
report your daughter missing? Like,
oh my God. How? Why?
and in fact, if it wasn't for Cindy, Casey probably would have never called her daughter missing.
Was she on drugs? Like, did she? I don't like. But how do you not?
Jess, it's not. I'm letting you know right now. It's gonna get worse.
Oh, okay.
So
That's fine.
this is also the first time Casey gives a name of who took her
Right.
daughter.
Right.
Zenaida Gonzalez Fernandez, or whom we will come to know as Zanny the Nanny.
Okay. This sounds actually familiar.
And I have a random question before we kind of move on to that. How did Casey seem on this phone call?
Like, very relaxed, and that upset me. Like, not relaxed, but like not manic, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like if your daughter's missing, she's like, yeah, she's just been missing. Like, okay, I guess relaxed is a bad term because like she was obviously on edge, but I felt like for the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm. So what people kind of like say about this is she sounds annoyed. Like even before she gets on the phone call, you can kind of hear her in the background and you don't know exactly what she says, but some people speculate she said, "What do I have to say to them?" Or something along those lines. Like, what do I have to talk to them about?
Right.
And then she gets on the phone call and she sounds annoyed that she has to like answer these questions.
Right. Like, yeah.
So now
Ugh.
we're going to go into the first 48 hours. So at 3:50 a.m., detectives arrive at what?
It's not fucking 48 hours. She's been missing for 30 days. What do you mean? Anyways.
The first 48 hours from this phone call.
Okay.
Okay? Because technically they didn't know that. This is the first time she's being reported missing. This is where their case starts. The first 48 hours starts here.
Mhm.
At 3:50 a.m., detectives arrive at the Anthony home where Cindy, George, and Lee are trying to drag information out of Casey. At the house, the detectives question Casey, asking where she dropped Caylee off at. Casey said that she dropped her off at Zanny's apartment at the Sawgrass Apartments. So, after the initial interview at 4:41 a.m., Casey takes the detectives to 3 different locations where she thinks that Zanny the Nanny might be with Caylee.
Okay.
The first location was a dead end. Zenaida was not there. The next location was another apartment complex. She pointed out an apartment that they would later find out had been vacant for 3 months. The third location was a retirement home.
Why would she be there? Okay.
At 6:45 a.m., Casey is brought back to her parents' home. This is when the officers at the station are trying to follow up on these apartment leads and also look for this person, Zenaida Gonzalez.
Right.
During their interview, Casey had said that she was working as an event coordinator at Universal Studios Orlando Resort. But when the detectives went to follow up about this, The supervisor said that she had not worked there for over 2 years.
Years. Okay.
She had been fired, and she was actually never an event coordinator. Her job at Universal was, you know, when you get off a ride and those people at the end that are trying to sell you the pictures from the ride.
Oh,
that's where she
my
worked.
God. Wow.
At this point,
What the fuck?
yeah. At this point, the detectives are like, what the fuck? Like you are.
Yeah.
What the fuck? They actually picked up Casey and brought her to Universal to see how she would react. They didn't tell her that they knew she didn't work there.
Right.
So,
oh my God.
Casey walked in with the detectives, but the security guard informed her that they don't have a Caylee Anthony that worked there. And Casey would just say, check again.
What do you
Check
mean?
again.
Check again. What do you mean? There's no checking again. Dumbass.
All while the detectives are watching this exchange happen.
Oh my God.
Finally, the security director says to just let them in because, you know, he's thinking there's a missing child. Maybe somebody here does know what happened, can get information. So the director and the detectives follow Casey, who took them to the HR building. One thing they kind of noted about Casey's behavior as she's walking is she has no urgency about her at all. Like, no real concern that her toddler is missing.
And she's about to get fucking caught, so of course she's not gonna run the pain.
Her behavior is so off from what it should be if she has a missing child. You know what I mean?
Right. Like she'd want, like, oh, I'm so sick to my stomach. Like she
But Casey walked through the building, and as she's walking through the building, she's waving at people like she knows them. And the people would wave back, but they would kind of have like confused looks on their faces like, do you work here? Have I seen you before?
Right.
And then finally, Casey turned down a hallway that was a dead end. She simply turned around, looked at the detectives, and said, I don't really work here.
That was it. That was her.
That was it.
That was her breaking point when she went down the wrong hallway. It was like, just kidding. I don't work here. Dude.
The detectives have followed all of the leads that Casey has given them, and every single word out of her mouth has been a lie. She's lied about everything.
Why would you? Why?
So they decided to question her, and they didn't bring her back to the station. They just borrowed like a room at Universal, and they sit her down, and they go pretty hard with the questioning at Casey. Like, we know you've lied, and just tell us where she is, and like if it was an accident, it's okay. We just need to know where she is. But Casey didn't crack at all during the question. She stuck with her story. She dropped Caylee off with Zanny the nanny, and she hasn't seen her since. All this, just same story.
Yeah. Yep.
At this point, the detectives charge and arrest Casey with child neglect, false statements to law enforcement, and obstruction of a criminal investigation at 3 p.m. on July 16th. The detectives commented on how Casey had literally no reaction to being arrested. The detective...
Is she a psychopath?
I don't know. The detective had made a statement that they were like talking, like small talk, and like talking about like what she dreamed of doing or something. Like,
what?
Not once talked about her missing 3-year-old.
Because she knew what happened to her.
Allegedly.
Hearsay.
Hearsay. After the arrest, they got a search warrant to search the Anthony resident and collect Casey's car. Forensic analysts would also comment on the car, which we will talk about later. And also, cadaver dogs were brought in, and they hit positive for human decomposition on the trunk of the car.
On the trunk?
Yes.
But all they found in the trunk was the pizza in the bag and the maggots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Along with the car, they also seized the family's computer. And that is the first 48 hours.
That was it?
That's it. And I have a lovely call of Casey to her family the night she was arrested.
Up.
Casey?
Mom.
Hey, sweetie.
Oh, I just saw your nice little cameo on TV.
Which one?
What do you mean, which one?
What?
Which one? I did 4 different ones, and I don't know. I haven't seen them all. I've only seen 1 or 2 so far.
You don't know what my involvement is and stuff?
Casey.
Mom.
What?
No.
I don't know what your involvement is, sweetheart. You're not telling me where she's at.
Because I don't f***ing know where she's at. Are you kidding me?
Casey, don't waste your call to scream and holler at me.
Waste my call sitting in, the jail?
Whose fault is
bunks are?
Whose fault is you sitting in the jail? You're blaming me that you're sitting in the jail?
Not
Blame
my
yourself
fault.
for telling lies. You mean it's not your fault? What do you mean it's not your fault, sweetheart? If you'd have told them the truth and not lied about everything, they wouldn't...
Do me a favor, just tell me what Tony's number is. I don't want to talk to you right now. Forget it.
I don't have his number.
We'll get it from Lee because I know Lee's at the house. I saw Mallory's car was out front. It was just on the news. They were just live outside the house.
I know they were.
Well, can you get Tony's number for me so I can call him?
Hey.
Hey, can you give me Tony's number?
This is her brother.
I can do that. I don't know what real good it's going to do you at this point.
Well, I'd like to talk to him anyway.
Okay.
Because I called to talk to my mother, and it's f***ing waste. Oh, by the way, I don't want any of you coming up here when I have my first hearing for bond and everything else. Like, don't even
What
waste
the
your time coming up here.
fuck?
You know, you're making it real tough for anybody to want to try to, even if it's you with giving you
See,
somebody's
that's just
phone number.
every single
You're not even letting me finish.
Well,
I
because-
really...
Miss, go ahead.
You're asking me for Tony's phone number so you can call him, and then you immediately want to start pressing towards me and saying, don't even worry about coming up here for all this stuff and trying to cut us out.
I'm not trying to cut anybody out.
I'm not going around and around with you. You know, that's pretty pointless. I'm not going to go through, not going to put everybody else through the same stuff that you've been putting the police and everybody else through for the last 24 hours and the stuff you've been putting Mom through for the last 4 or 5 weeks. I'm done with that. So you can tell me what's going on. Christina would love to talk to you because she thinks that you will tell her what's going on. Frankly, we're going to find out. Something, whatever's going on, it's going to be found out. So why not do it now? Save
There's
yourself
nothing to
some
find
issues.
out. There's absolutely nothing to find out, and that's even what I told the detective.
Well, you know, everything
I have
she's
no
telling
clue
them
where
is a
Caylee
lie.
is. If I knew where Caylee was, do you think any of this would be happening? No.
Anyway, you only got a couple minutes for this, so I'm not going to let you completely waste it. Here's Christina. She thinks she can get through.
No, I want Tony's number. I'm not
Who the
talking
fuck
to
is
anybody
Tony?
else.
That's her boy.
Hi, I'm glad
That's her
everybody's at my
boyfriend.
house. I'll have to call you later. I'll have to.
How does she not have
call
her
somebody
own
to get your
boyfriend's number?
Do me a favor, get my brother back because I need Tony's number.
Okay, is there anything I can do for you?
I'm sitting in jail. There's nothing anybody can do right now.
Well, I'm just
So who is
trying to
this?
be-
Oh, I know you are.
This
honey.
is-
I absolutely know that you are.
This
I
is a
appreciate
friend
everything
of
that you're trying
hers,
to do,
I
but
think, or a
Okay,
friend of the
okay, okay.
I'd
family
like to call
called
Tony. He's not at
Christina.
my house, is he?
Okay.
No,
Okay.
it's just me and your parents and Lee.
Okay. Well, can you do me a favor and get my brother back or get the number from him, please?
Does Tony have anything to do with Caylee?
No, nothing.
Okay, so why do you want to talk to Tony?
I-
You probably don't want to tell me, do you?
Huh?
You probably don't want to tell me, do you?
What do you? I didn't hear what you said.
I said, does Tony have anything to do with Caylee?
No, Tony had nothing to do with Caylee.
Oh, so why do you want to talk to him? You probably don't want to tell
Because
me.
he's my boyfriend, and I want to actually try to sit and talk to him because I didn't get a chance to talk to him earlier because I got arrested on whim today. Because they're blaming me for stuff that I never would do, that I didn't do.
Okay. Well, I'm on your side, you know that,
Oh,
right?
honey, I know that. I just want to talk to Tony and get a little bit of...
Casey, you have to tell me.
I
if you know
hate the
anything about-
honey.
Just the condescending tone in which
I
she
hate it.
talks to the
Oh,
this
honey,
person.
I know. Honey.
Caylee.
Sweetheart,
If
if I...
anything happens to Caylee, Casey, I'll die. You understand? I'll die. If anything happens to that baby.
See, that's the kind of reaction you expect a mother to have. If anything happens to Caylee, I'll die.
Yeah.
Oh my god, calling you guys, a waste. Huge waste. Honey, I love you. You know I would not let anything happen to my daughter. If I knew where she was, this wouldn't be going on.
Well, how come everybody's saying you're lying?
Because nobody's listening to anything that I'm saying. The media completely
Well, they're
misconstrued
listening.
everything that I said. Detectives told them they got all of their information from me, yet at the same time, they're twisting stuff. They've already said they're going to pin this on me if they don't find Caylee.
And then I just have a little bit of the part 2.
Okay, Casey, don't yell at me. I'm on your side. I'm on your side.
You're not.
Trust me.
I know you're on my side. I'm not trying
Nobody
to yell at
is
you.
saying anything bad about you. Your family is with you 100%.
No, they're not.
Yes.
Because I just watched news and heard everything that my mom said. Nobody in my own family is on my side.
Yes, there are. Nobody has said.
They just want Caylee back. That's all they're worried about right now. Is getting Caylee back. That's all I care about right now.
Casey, your daughter, your flesh and blood, your baby girl.
Tina, please, put my brother back on the phone. I don't want to get into this with you right now. I love you, honey, and I'm glad that you're
Oh
there.
my
Thank
god,
you for
she
your help.
calls her honey
I will
one
let
more
you know
time.
if there's anything that you can do.
And they just go on to talk about like who
Oh.
she can call and stuff.
Oh my god. Even like the fact that she was like, we're all so worried about nobody's caring about me. Like they're also worried
They
about
just
my
want
daughter who's
Caylee
missing.
back. Who the fuck says that? Can you imagine if Beanie goes missing and I say they just want Beanie back? Like what would you say to me?
That should be your only fucking concern.
Right?
And the fact that it's not.
The fact that she's mad that she's in jail and not the fact that she's not mad that they can't find her daughter. Like
It's disgusting. Oh my god.
I'm
I'm so mad.
I actually want to take a step back and I want to talk about Casey's background and kind of like the family background, the Anthony family dynamic. So the Anthony household, in my opinion, was not a healthy or a good one. George was a former cop who had a gambling problem, and he was an excessive liar, according to an ex-wife. George met and married Cindy, and they had 2 children, Lee Anthony and Casey Anthony. After the kids were born, Cindy wanted to stay home with the kids. So she made George quit his job as a cop, which he had been at for over 10 years, because she didn't think he was making enough money.
To do what?
Well, first he like worked for his father or something, but they got into like a physical altercation. Long story short, this decision led George to bounce from job to job over the years.
Oh, that's tough.
And at the time in 2008, he was working as a night security guard. And that would eventually, I don't know when, the timeline's a little iffy for me, but Cindy would have to return to work as a nurse, and she became the main breadwinner for the family.
Even so, yeah. That she made him quit his job because he wasn't making enough. That's interesting.
Casey was described as a spirited and energetic child. She was full of personality and very popular. Trouble started in high school, though, when Casey would become a compulsive liar. And some speculate that she learned this behavior from her father. In her senior year of high school, Casey would stop attending classes altogether. When asked where her cap and gown were for graduation, Casey told her parents that the school made a mistake and just didn't order it.
Oh, wow.
They believed her, but a couple of days before graduation, the school called to inform them that Casey would not be graduating.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Okay. Why?
She'd stopped going to school. She literally, her second semester in her senior year, she didn't go to school at all. When her parents confronted her, she lied again and blamed the school, saying that the school enrolled her in half-credit classes, and so she didn't have enough credits to graduate.
Here's the thing about being a liar. You have to, like, that's not a good one. There's ways to fight. Why do you think? Anyway, keep going.
Somehow they still believed her, or they just didn't want to not believe her. I don't know at this point. And on the day of graduation, Cindy and George would play along with Casey's lie and throw a graduation party and accept gifts and money. Yes.
So they were just stupid. Okay.
When asked why Casey, like, they went to the graduation. They brought their family to the graduation that Casey was not in. And when asked why she wasn't walking the stage, they said something about, there was a mix-up or something or whatever. So then, like, why would you go to a graduation she's not even a part? Like, oh my god, it's insane.
It's like they were literally in denial.
Yeah. But there didn't seem to be any repercussions for Casey when she lied. So she would just keep doing it. And one thing about Casey, you kind of saw it in the whole Universal Studios thing. She will take a lie to the absolute extreme until she can't keep going with it anymore.
It's like she's actually delusional. Like she doesn't realize that she's even lying.
So this lying would even continue when she became pregnant at 19. Cindy noticed that Casey had gained some weight in the stomach area and confronted her about it. But Casey denied it, of course. She denied it by saying she had never had sex. She was still a virgin.
A Virgin Mary! It's kind of hard to hide that one.
Kind of. After 7 months, she did finally admit to her parents that she was indeed pregnant.
You mean what was coming out of her?
But Casey would also continuously lie about who the father was. And to this day, we still don't know who's Caylee's father was. Mm-mm.
Ooh, that's interesting.
She would give name after name, but they would all mysteriously die. So she would give a name and be like, oh,
die?
But he died in a car accident. Or a motorcycle accident. And then she would give another name and she'd be like, oh, he lives in North Carolina now. Oh, he died of cancer.
Wow.
DNA tests were done, but there were no matches. So yeah, we have no idea who the father of Caylee was.
Wow. Interesting.
Another weird aspect of this family, when Casey delivered Caylee, George was in the room. Her father was in the room. And he wasn't just like by her head, you know. He was down there watching Caylee come out.
Do you think like he could be the father?
No, DNA tests were done against the father and the brother. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But I find that extremely weird. Like, I wouldn't want my father looking in that area.
Oh, hell no. I wouldn't want anybody.
I didn't even want my
there.
husband looking in that area. Because I'm like, shit.
No. Up by the head.
Shit
up by the head.
comes out
after
literally.
the
baby.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Don't see that. Don't
up by my
see
head.
me
No.
like that.
I feel like you can't come back from that. Like, once you see me like that, how do you go back down there and be like, oh, this looks fun? Like,
just no.
Like, no. And plus, now working at my job, like, shit happens like bad. Like, sometimes they have to like cut.
Oh my god.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, and actually, it's better if they do that because then you can sew it and it heals better. Like a straight cut heals better than a
rip.
Not. I was gonna say a tear.
So yeah, so George was in the room, and then Cindy, oh my god, Cindy insisted on being the first one to hold Caylee, and she was, which is like
not
the
mom.
No, that's like the most important thing. Like when the baby comes out, they don't even like clean them all the way. They give them a little wipe, and then you put it on the mother's chest because that first
it's like
skin to skin, first skin to skin
like
contact
so
is
fucking
so important.
For the mom and the baby.
Yeah. Nope. It was all Cindy. Cindy needed to be the first one to hold her.
That's fucking weird.
Another thing, in one of her interviews, she was like, when we had Caylee, and I'm like, excuse you? You did not have Caylee. Did you push Caylee out of your vagina?
So she was 17 when she was
19.
Had her? Okay, 19. That's so weird. That's so weird. That's really weird. Yeah. Anyway.
So after Caylee was born, Casey and Caylee would continue to live in the Anthony household. So Casey never moved out of her parents' house. She was a mooch. Let's be honest. She didn't have a job.
Okay.
We know that for a fact. And then she lived with her parents. So her parents paid for everything.
They were just enabling the fuck out of her. I mean, I think it's hard when there's a grandkid involved because you want to make sure the grandkid's taken care of. But at some point, you got to be like, yo.
Yeah. So Cindy would become very possessive over Casey and Caylee. In fact, at the time, Casey's boyfriend, Jesse, who they had met after Casey had become pregnant, so he definitely wasn't the father. He had DNA testing done, but Jesse loved Caylee as his own child, and he wanted to marry Casey and adopt Caylee.
Aww.
But Cindy would not allow that to happen. She wanted to keep control over the girls.
Huh. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So all in all, this family is a little wonky.
A little, yeah.
So now we're gonna fast forward just a tiny bit, and we're gonna go into the 31 days that Caylee was missing.
Okay.
On the morning of June 16th, 2008, the last time George and Cindy saw their granddaughter, Casey told her parents that they were spending the night with Zanny the nanny. But that night, she is on video surveillance with her boyfriend, Tony Lazzaro, at a Blockbuster video store. Throwback.
Right.
With no Caylee to be seen anywhere. On June 20th, Casey went with Tony to a nightclub and entered a hot body contest.
While her daughter's missing.
Mm-hmm. On July 2nd, Casey got a tattoo that said Bella Vita, which is Italian for beautiful life.
While her daughter's missing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All that time, Cindy was trying to see Caylee, but Casey made excuse after excuse. So Cindy would call her, I want to see Caylee this weekend, and she would say, oh, we're in Jacksonville for the weekend. Or, oh, Zanny the nanny took her to SeaWorld. Zanny took her to Disney World. Zanny took her to Universal. Just
Zanny has a shit ton of money, apparently.
Or Casey does. Not, but okay.
Got that employee discount.
So during that time, Casey was basically couch surfing because obviously she couldn't go back to her parents' house.
Right.
Also, she had stolen gas cans from her parents' shed because she had no money. So a common thing that would happen is because Casey had this well-paying job, she would drive her car till it ran out of gas because she couldn't pay for gas. And then she would call her dad, and that's why they have the gas cans, because her dad would take the gas to her and fill it up. And then, yeah. So, like, during this time, she didn't even bother calling him. She just went and tried to steal the gas cans. And
yikes.
That's another reason why the car was abandoned, because she had ran out of gas and she didn't want to call her parents.
Oh, yeah, because it smelled like death.
Yeah, so she's supposed to have this really nice job, so she couldn't ask her parents for money, but she did tend to steal it. She stole.
They did.
Huh?
That's what she said. She said they stole the car and money. So okay.
So she stole money from her grandmother. She stole money from her mother. And when her friend Amy went on a trip to Puerto Rico, she asked Casey to watch her car. She was like, hey, here's my car, drop me up at the airport, pick me up when we get back. And in fact, Casey was supposed to go on this trip too, but she would make excuses like, oh yeah, I'm coming. Like Amy would ask her, when are you getting here? And she'd be like, oh yeah, I'm getting a ticket tomorrow. Or, just make excuse after excuse. And finally Amy is like, you're not coming, are you? And she's like, yeah, no. Anyways, it's a whole thing. But while Casey has Amy's car, she finds Amy's checkbook under the car seat and wrote herself over $600 worth of checks.
What?
And went on shopping sprees.
Wait, but that's but you could track that.
Not back then with checkbooks and checks.
You couldn't?
No, not at the time. They didn't have like the automatic dispensers at the time, I don't think.
Okay. Wow.
And finally, on July 15th is when George retrieved the car and Cindy tracked down Casey to demand answers. So we're kind of full circle now. You still with me?
Yeah. Just considering if I want to be. No, I'm still here.
So the searches to find Caylee started immediately. And also the media was pretty much involved in this case right away as well. And the media coverage of this case was quite intense. Because the Sunshine Law, they were able to get every single information that they could, including the 911 calls, the jailhouse call. So all of that is being plastered all over the media.
Right.
Along with
interesting.
along with a bunch of pictures of Casey basically painting her as this party girl who just wanted to get rid of her daughter to have a good life. A group out of Texas came and searched for weeks, so many weeks, and they found absolutely nothing.
What the fuck?
4 months after the disappearance, Caylee was presumed dead and Casey was charged with first-degree murder. She pled not guilty. Basically, Cindy asks her, where do you think Caylee is right now? Like, where do you think she is? And Casey answers, not that far. In my heart, she's like, in your heart, where is Caylee? And Casey answers, not that far.
Okay.
I find it interesting that you get bad vibes from the dad.
I get such creepy. You don't? I get such creepy vibes from the dad.
I don't know, because I'm biased in this case.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So yeah, so basically she says she's not that far. And when talking to her parents, stuff like that. So like people are searching for Caylee. They're not finding anything. But then on December 11th, 2008, everyone's worst fears came true when a small set of human remains were found less than half a mile from the Anthony home. Less than half
Oh my God.
a mile.
Oh my God. Wow.
And then DNA would confirm that this was indeed Caylee Anthony.
Oh, baby.
So, gotta go over the evidence. The crime scene. A utility worker was the one who had found the human skull while in the woods trying to relieve himself. This was actually not the first call he made. 2 months prior to this, he reported he was at the same spot working a job, had to relieve himself, and he stepped into the woods and he saw a strange bag and called it in, but no one checked up on it, or it must have got lost in all the tips. Either way, he called in like October, and then in December he called again, this time because everything had been torn open and, you know, decomposed. He had found a human skull.
Oh man.
4 weeks, crime scene investigators were on their hands and knees sifting and searching for evidence in Caylee's bones. When they collected the skull, it appeared to have duct tape on it from one side to the other on the mandible area. When they looked at the skull, the duct tape seemed to be holding the mandible in place. The medical examiner said it was unusual to see a mandible still attached to the skull because only soft tissues hold those two pieces together, and when they decompose, they usually separate.
Right.
Especially when the bag was like torn open and the body was moved by scavengers, but the duct tape still had protected the skull and mandible, had like kept it together through all of that. The crime scene investigators then went back to the Anthony home to see if they could connect the sites together. So the duct tape that was at the site was from the same batch, not exactly the same roll, but the same batch as a piece of duct tape that was attached to a gas can in the home. The laundry bag, so what their theory is, she was wrapped in a blanket, placed in a laundry bag, and then that laundry bag was then placed into 2 large garbage bags. So the laundry bag found at the recovery site was a sister bag to one found in the garage's home. So what it sounds like is it was like a 2-pack of canvas laundry bag and like a stacking one. So like one could stack into the other.
Yeah.
And one of them was at the site, one of them was in the home. The Winnie the Pooh blanket the child could have been wrapped in or was at least with was similar to the child's bed set in the home. So we know that the child had Winnie the Pooh things.
Yeah.
Based on how the child was discovered and where, the evidence of the duct tape led the medical examiner to determine cause of death to be homicide by undetermined means. Now we're going to go into the car. We know at this point that the car had a odor to it. When the car was brought into the lab, a random lab tech who had no idea that this case was even going on had asked who brought the decomp car in.
Right.
15 hairs were found in the trunk of the car and were sent to an FBI crime lab. They found death banding, which could be an indication of decomposition. So on the hair, there's like a little black spot.
Okay.
The hairs didn't have roots, though, to extract DNA. But when compared to Cindy, it matched her mitochondrial DNA, which is passed from mother to child, narrowing down the hairs to belonging to either Cindy, Casey, or Caylee. One piece of evidence that is interesting is the odor analysis, a newer technique at the time developed by Dr. Voss. This was the first time that this technique was introduced into a court case. Basically, Dr. Voss took the air samples from the trunk and chemically determined the compounds of the air and found that 41 compounds out of 424 compounds that are associated with decomposition were present. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. The FBI lab also found levels of compounds in the air that are associated with decomposition. There was also an excessive amount of chloroform found in the trunk.
Ooh.
Though it could not be determined if the presence was from chloroform being spilled in the trunk or if it was from a decomposing body.
Oh, chloroform is what that happens when you decompose?
So we'll get into it later.
Okay.
The family computer. On the family computer, there were Google searches for chloroform that were found in the history that had taken place back in March.
Oh my God.
Another interesting piece of evidence was a diary entry that they took from Casey on. It was dated June 21st, but there was no year on it. It was basically just saying how she had a wonderful life, that she's happy with the choices that she made, all this other stuff. But that one's kind of iffy because, like I said, there's no year on it. This could have been written at any time.
Right.
So though the prosecution had all of this evidence, mostly circumstantial, they believed that they had a strong case. And this is actually where we are going to end part 1.
Okay.
Next week. Next week, we will go over the trial, the theories, and the controversial Peacock documentary where Casey speaks her truth. And I say that in air quotes.
So, that's it for this episode. If you enjoy this podcast, don't forget to follow, leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube. Hi, like and subscribe, guys. We really appreciate you. I realize I'm like sinking down lower and lower as we do this.
You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok with our username at TTATA Podcast. And in the bio of all of our social media is our link tree that links you to our email. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please email us. Even if you have suggestions, we'd appreciate that too.
Also, I posted on Twitter and Instagram today, so we're gonna start doing that again because
Yes.
I kind of slacking off the last couple weeks. But new year, new us.
I've
We're
also
gonna do
been
it.
slacking on the TikTok, so it's fine. It was
New
the end
year,
of the
new
year,
us.
you know.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, guys. Next week, like she said, we're just gonna be doing part 2 of this. So come back, talk about how fair and awesome the trial was. I'm excited. It's gonna be great. With that, we're gonna leave you with this inspirational quote.
You've got to learn to leave the table when love's no longer being served.
Ooh, yeah, I can
By
understand what that.
Nina Simone. And that pretty much summed up my year of 2022. So
Yeah. I mean, kind of same. Like it's a very good lesson to learn. It's a hard one to learn, but it's good. But But yeah, so thanks for listening, guys. We'll be back next week. Be there, be square. I hope you guys have a great New Year.
Happy New
And,
Year's.
Happy New Year's. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.